Yeah. Like that's ever gonna happen. What a logic.
Somebody once told
The Jeffy era has been by far the most controversial era to this very day. There have been ups and downs, goods and bads. And now, I think it's time I finally say my full thoughts on how this era has been so far. This era spans from Mario the Babysitter all the way to the very present. There's no time to waste, so let's get into this. So, the sub-eras are usually reserved for the series videos, where I discuss individual series. Problem is, there weren't really any series videos in this era, and there still haven't been. This already marks the first problem. Now, Logan kept promising that there would be series videos, but after Logan realized just how popular Jeffy was, it seems like he just flat out quit even trying to make series videos such as Luigi's Mansion, Chef PP Quits, Mario and Luigi's Stupid and Dumb Adventures, and so on. So let's discuss the namesake of this era, Jeffy. Now, a lot of people say that Jeffy wasn't so bad near the beginning. Oh really? Well, how about I just play this clip from SML's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire episode 3. Boy, I bet that'll be funny, right?
What's going on over there? Jeffy. Jeffy, stop. Jeffy, come on, man. Jeffy, we're on TV. Jeffy, you're gonna get us canceled. Jeffy, stop it. Jeffy.
Turtle, strawberry, 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 strawberry.
Okay, that's enough. While true, Jeffy wasn't as bad in terms of stuff we'll get to in a second, he had about 3 jokes total very early on, and they'd be repeated all the time. Also, can I just remind people that in Jeffy's debut video, he was absolutely panned? People tend to forget that too. Everyone hated Jeffy when he was first shown. So how did Jeffy get so popular? I honestly have no idea. But we got to keep him around. Him and all of his annoying antics. And you know how I said last video that the Jeffy era might be better than the Junior era? Well, I think I just didn't elaborate well. It's better in one instance. There weren't long streaks of only Jeffy, unlike the Junior era having long time frames of only Junior. Then again, if it wasn't Jeffy, it was usually Junior. Now, the few videos with other characters as the main character of the video ranged from okay to pretty good. But also, Jeffy usually had to be shoehorned in somewhere, even in those videos. As things progressed, Jeffy got more and more annoying. He would begin cussing a bunch as well. Now, I'm not the type who's going to freak out about someone saying a bad word. Although, speaking of bad words, we'll get to that in a second. But in Jeffy's homework, Jeffy cussed. Now, the reason this garnered such a surprised reaction from people was because it was unexpected. But then, it caused Jeffy to cuss all the time. Because, as we all know, if it's funny the first time, it's also funny the 301st time, right? That's how it works? Also, Jeffy's most infamous video, Jeffy's bad word, is just horrible in this regard. But oh, it isn't just that. It's the fact that the entire video is terrible. In fact, you know how I've mentioned Chef PP torture? Where Chef PP is tortured for no reason despite it not even being funny? Well, Mario torture is where Mario is tortured for no reason. In this video, Mario decides that he has had enough of Jeffy's cussing, so he spanks him. But for some reason, literally the entire rest of the world turns on him for no reason. Mario gets arrested, and Jeffy is rewarded for his poor behavior. This should have been the end of Jeffy, yet for some reason it wasn't. For some reason, Logan kept getting more and more subscribers. And by the end of 2016, Logan had already surpassed 1 million subscribers. And by the end of February 2017, his new subscribers were an equal amount, if not greater, to Logan's old subscribers. And speaking of these new subscribers, well, we'll be right back. Now, I'm not normally the type to let a fanbase hamper my enjoyment of something, but this does affect a lot of what happens with SML. Why? Well, this new group of fans essentially kept telling Logan to keep doing the same thing over and over. More Jeffy, more Jeffy, more Jeffy! Oh, and you can forget about all of those old characters. At best, they'll get a video every so often, or at worst, they'll flat out get nothing. For having such a large roster of characters to use, Logan seems to almost never use anything but the same few characters, which leads to ultimately stale interactions between characters. And Logan wanted to do what the fans want, to the detriment of his older fans. I wonder if Logan has ever considered the fact that fans who have been sticking around for over a decade now might want what's best for Logan's channel a bit more than some brat who plays Fortnite saying, "Haha, make Jeffy Fortnite too, lol." I'll go more into how his old fans feel about all of this, as well as Logan's overinflated ego in a bit. But let's continue with talking about these Jeffy fans. So remember how I said the junior fans were bad? How they would demand more junior videos all the time, and anybody who disliked junior was just an evil SML hater? Well, take that attitude and ramp it up to an 11. Frankly, the Jeffy fans weren't that different from the junior fans of yesteryear, except they tended to be even younger, and the sheer volume of them was overwhelming to the older fans. Let me just refer back to the fact that in a little over a year, from the time of Mario the Babysitter until February 2017, Logan's subscriber count had more than doubled, in fact nearly tripled, to where Jeffy fans were the majority of the subscribers. That's something that took the junior fans well over a year to achieve. From April 2013, where Logan was at almost 90,000 subscribers, until somewhere between July and August 2015 to get Logan to 180,000 subscribers. And they had less catching up to do, since there was simply a smaller amount of subscribers back then. And these Jeffy fans have also carried SML into the real world. They imitate Jeffy. Just no. Now, I get it, most of these people are kids in elementary school, so of course they do that. But just the fact that it's even happened is sad. This also means, however, that these kids will also imitate some of Jeffy's other actions, which leads well into... This era has been filled with controversies. From people saying that Logan stole Jeffy, all the way to saying that a kid tried to imitate Jeffy using a noose. Let's have a quick recap of some of these, shall we? Let's talk about kids imitating Jeffy and what that's led to. So there have been reports about kids imitating Jeffy, some school districts issuing warnings about students watching SML content, and so on. But never has there been more attention towards it than in two specific situations. One where some idiot kid supposedly tried to tie a noose and hang himself after wanting to imitate Jeffy. I say supposedly simply because it seems like it's rather difficult to tie a noose. So much so that even Lance had a hard time doing it properly for one of the videos. While I do believe it's probably true that they tried to imitate Jeffy, I don't believe for a second the claim that the video taught the child how to tie a noose. After this whole incident, YouTube began demonetizing and age restricting Logan's content, which we'll get to in a few minutes. Next was Good Morning America's segment on inappropriate YouTube content, which did feature quite a bit of SML in there. Now, not all of it was accurate, for sure, but Logan did say after having been demonetized, they would be making cleaner content. And admittedly, for a small while, he did. Until he thought he could get away with more. These two incidents also showed the main viewers of SML content. In fact, let's talk about that real quick. Just about every time you see Logan and or Chili meeting fans, you'll usually see that said fans are kids, and that their favorite character is Jeffy. Occasionally you'll see adults, but it's usually because that's the kid's parents. You'll hear more about all of that in a minute. Next up, we have the DBTV drama. DBTV gave some rather flimsy at best, and terrible at worst, evidence that Logan had stolen Jeffy from them. I already made a video discussing this. Frankly, their claim would have been slightly more believable had they acted sooner. Slightly. If Jeffy really had been stolen from them, I would think that, especially seeing how popular Jeffy was getting, they would have acted the moment they heard about it. But they decided to wait? To me, that sounds like, we want free attention, so we're going to give some flimsy evidence at best. The entire thing unsurprisingly backfired in spectacular fashion. Next we have Skip Dip. His problem was with how Logan was operating things, and Logan's adamant refusal to follow the rules, thus causing his channel to get demonetized. Okay, that's fair. So, what was the logical thing to do? Well, as we all know, the reasonable course of action here is to try and mass flag Logan's videos to try to get his channel taken down. This is where I had a problem with Skip Dip. Now, there are a couple more, but we'll get to them in a second. So, with all of these new fans, Logan's ego went into the stratosphere. Eventually, he too got onto the "everyone who doesn't like my content is a hater" bandwagon. Fantastic. Also, he mocked some of his critics, such as myself, which just goes to show just how mature Logan is. So not very. And the biggest problem here is that things got worse and worse as more and more Jeffy fans flooded in. Until... in December of 2017, Logan got his entire channel demonetized. Many said it was unfair, and while I do agree that the entire channel getting demonetized was stupid, some videos did kinda deserve it. But this affected lots of videos, and so Logan, in all of his infinite wisdom, decided to finally get rid of Jeffy after realizing... just kidding. No, he blamed the character Craig. Well, it's ironic since Craig, despite having not appeared in a video for a while when Logan was demonetized, Craig was the one pointed at for the demonetization. Because, hey, it certainly couldn't be the puppet character that all of your young fans love to imitate, the one that all the news was talking about, the one that cusses all the time, makes a bunch of jokes that YouTube probably wouldn't enjoy, and so on. No, Jeffy is surely infallible in this situation. Also, Logan started saying in vlogs that his videos are for mature audiences, and that while he knows that he has some younger fans, for the longest time he flat out refused to acknowledge it was a large majority of his fan base. And depending on who you ask, he still does. He also claimed that it was others' fault when younger viewers watched his content. You know, despite not giving any sort of per-video warnings, rather just expecting people to be psychic or something, and know in advance that videos are bad or something. Seriously, still saying that a mature audience's warning screen at the beginning of videos would have seriously gone a long way. Anyways, at this point, Logan decided to open a Patreon, which is another part of the drama. You see, Logan wasn't giving out Patreon rewards. Now, for the first while, this was understandable. Logan had given someone a reward, only for them to take the money back before Patreon charged them for it. It's fair Logan wanted to wait until payments were processed after that. Problem is, however, that Logan then decided to keep waiting, and waiting, and waiting. Now, for shoutouts, the $100 tier, Logan did a couple, then would just keep claiming that the actors were tired, so they couldn't do the shoutouts that time. This kept happening over and over. Each time, Logan said, "Next video, I promise." And the next video would be released without the shoutouts. But what's more, the $50 patrons were promised their names in the description of videos. Literally copying and pasting of usernames. That's not too difficult, right? Well, apparently for Logan it is! Since it took him a few months, many patrons pestering him, and one video of me calling him out for him to finally copy and paste names into the description of his next video. Oh, and $10 patrons? They were promised early access to videos. And at most, Logan gave these patrons about a 15-minute early access window ever. And that was like once. Let me just remind you that most YouTubers give at least a couple hours of early access. As I previously mentioned, I finally called Logan out on all of this scummy behavior, and not 2 hours later, Logan made a post on his Patreon saying he would try to improve. And he did for a little while. Just like how he did for a little while after his channel got demonetized and he had to move to Super Luigi Logan. He would improve for a bit, then when he thought no one would notice, he'd begin inching his way back to where he was before. Adding back jokes he knew wouldn't fly with YouTube, so he had to move to Super Bowser Logan next, beginning to not give Patreon rewards again, and so on. Also, it's been questioned as to whether this whole Patreon thing could be called a scam on Logan's part. Well, kinda. People were paying him, expecting something in return, and some people simply never even got them. Yeah, there are still people to this very day who never got their shout out. I remember one person actually commenting on a Patreon post saying that they had paid money for months at this point for Logan to have Jeffy give their child a shout out. Nope! Nothing. All of this finally culminated into the Great SML Exodus. By this point, a sizable chunk of the old fans split off and just left. Some continue watching through reactions, such as a few people who watch my videos, while others have completely abandoned SML altogether, which I can't blame them for, honestly. While not the worst thing ever, it's certainly worth a quick mention given how it annoyed some people, as well as how delusional people like Chili can be about the whole thing. Well, I'd wear the SML merch, even to college! Do I really have to explain the difference to you between you, someone whose boyfriend is SML himself, versus some random person wearing a Jeffy backpack? And going with your example, in college, no less? At that point, they might as well just wear something that says, "Hey, please bully me."
There's rocks, there's whale poo, and then there's you.
I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too...
So, at this point, I think we've all realized Logan isn't the most reliable person ever. Now, this raises the question. The ultimate question, which determines my true final thoughts on this era. You see, this era wasn't just about Jeffy. Had this era just been about that, it would have still been just annoying, but not as anger-inducing as it has been for old fans such as myself. But the question remains, is Logan malicious or just stupid? Now, this is kind of a difficult question to answer, and could completely change some outlooks on Logan depending on what you or others think. The difference between being smart and intentionally doing all these things, or being dumb and not really thinking about some of these things. And again, this could change people's thoughts on SML for better or for worse. So, in my honest opinion, I think that Logan is stupid, mostly. Don't get me wrong, I think there could be some malice in there somewhere. But more often than not, I have a feeling that Logan, as well as Chili, whom I'll discuss in a minute here, simply don't know any better. That doesn't excuse them not listening, but I genuinely believe that Logan hasn't removed Jeffy, not because he thinks it's funny getting old fans upset, but because he's surrounded by fans who say they love Jeffy. Even to the detriment of his own channel, he wants to impress his fans. And that is, albeit foolish, simultaneously kinda admirable. Does this excuse him of all wrongdoing? No, but it does explain his actions. It explains a lot of things a lot better than him simply doing things out of malice, especially towards his old fans. I don't think he would sacrifice one of his own channels, let alone two of them, as a "ha, gotcha" to old fans. Frankly, I just believe that Logan is surrounded by people who tell him that they love Jeffy, so it's no surprise he thinks the way he does. That all being said, I do think he needs to get out of his echo chamber and listen to some of the older fans as well. Once again, I believe that Logan and Chili are simply in an echo chamber or something. People wonder why I do all of this. It's because I know people need help sometimes. Some more than others. I bet you all thought I was going to grill Logan in this final segment, but I just can't. Because I don't believe that Logan is a bad person. Misinformed? Yes. Surrounded by yes men? Absolutely. Sometimes straight up idiotic? Oh, you bet. But I just can't find any intentional malice, aside from maybe the occasional joking quip at fans or something. So, let's not deny this. This era has been the worst in SML's history, and this is the biggest problem here. Not so much the fact that a bunch of old fans are upset about the fact that they don't like one specific character. It's the lasting impact of what it will have done to the channel itself. Let me just remind you that because of Jeffy and all the Jeffy fans, Logan's main channel got demonetized. With the other eras, especially the classic era, there was something there to remember as well. Something to look back on and say, wow, I remember why I liked this. You didn't even have to like the whole era. For example, 2 videos of Logan's I remember are Baby Shrek and the finale to Mario and Luigi's Stupid and Dumb Adventure Season 2. 2 videos which remind me why I like SML so much. Why, even after so long, I am still sticking around. This whole journey for me has been to try and share something like that. It may not be those exact videos, but to give others something to remember just as I remember those videos. Videos that are timeless. My biggest fear is how the Jeffy fans of today will look back on this era. I'm not saying they aren't allowed to be nostalgic for it or something, but I simply think not many will. They'll look back and see poorly done videos, the same jokes repeated over and over, and they won't be able to get much out of the era as compared to how we've gotten things from the classic, or even for some, the junior eras. That's what makes me sad about the whole thing. It is my greatest hope to see Logan improve. I do not think he operates out of malice, and I wish for nothing more than to be able to share the enjoyment and creation of videos from what was my favorite YouTuber. Will that happen? I sure hope so, but I ultimately don't know. Logan's clung on, even if just barely, for a while now, and hopefully he'll get back to making good content. He's been improving slowly over the course of this year, so hey, who knows?
And hey, there's one upside! If Jeffy was never invented, I would have never been invented! So, come on, there's at least one upside to all of this. Jeffy, me boyo! Get back in here! We've still gotta formulate our plan! Me bucko! Well, that's my cue. See you losers in the next Gmod video!
Well, thank y'all for watching, and take care.